I'm Alexei Ratmansky. I'm a choreographer invited here to La Scala to stage a new production of Swan Lake, which is probably the most popular classical ballet ever. Interesting that at the premiere in Moscow, the Bolshoi, in 1877, it wasn't a success, and for 20 years it was considered a curiosity and a failure of prominent Russian composer Čajkovskij. And so strange that the ballet that nowadays become a symbol of classical ballet was so unfortunate at the beginning of its life. At the end of the 19th century, when it was restaged for the Mariinsky Theater, Imperial Theater in St. Petersburg by French choreographer Marius Petipa and Lev Ivanov, his Russian colleague, it became clear that this is a very, very special piece of art which maybe for the first time so intensely brings the symphonic music of such quality into the ballet and adding a very, very strong drama that is relevant even today. I think the subject of this ballet, the story of it, the duality of the lead female character, Odette, the white swan, and Odile, which is nowadays a black swan, but originally it was just seductress, a beautiful lady, the daughter of the evil magician, a sorcerer, Rothbard. The Prince Siegfried is about to choose a future queen, a princess, his wife, and he needs to make a choice. He loves Odette, but he mistakes her for Odile, and he swears his love to the wrong one, which destroys Odette. And when Prince Siegfried realizes that he has made a fatal mistake, he dies together with Odette. The image of a girl, a maiden, a woman who is also a swan, she has a dual life because she's under the spell, is very poetic, and it has deep roots in Russian and European also symbolism. And I think with the beauty of classical training, ballerinas imitating the swans has become a very, very special symbolic image. Interesting also that originally it was not so much imitating the swan role. It was more showing the maidens when they are in human form, in human shape, at night. And during the day they have to be birds, and then at night they're allowed to take their own bodies, human bodies. In a sense, going to the originals moves us away from the mannerisms of today's interpretation. Also, I have to say that the source for this production is the notations that were made soon after the premiere in St. Petersburg in the very beginning of 20th century by regisseurs of Mariinsky Theater. They wrote down all the choreography. These notations are a treasure. They preserved in Harvard University in America, and they give us, when you read them carefully, a different idea of what Swan Lake was originally. When I say originally, I mean not the Bolshoi failure production, but the successful St. Petersburg production by Petipa and Ivanov. So these notations has been a source of incredible inspiration for me and for my wife Tatiana, who is assisting me in staging it. We worked together in Zurich, where this production took its premiere in February. So we're here at La Scala, the beautiful historical opera house, which we knew already. We worked here before on Sleeping Beauty and on a mixed bill of my original works. So it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me to get back to this great house and meet old friends and find new dancers and find the company in a wonderful shape. Now, I have to say that Swan Lake was choreographed by Petipa and Ivanov on the Italian ballerina, great Italian ballerina, Pierina Lignani, who was a guest dancer, prima ballerina assoluta, they called her, in the Imperial Theaters in St. Petersburg. She was an amazing technician, a virtuoso dancer who also had a wonderful acting style, and she was considered one of the greats of the time. So she was the star of the original production, and it's interesting to see Italian dancers take on the notated choreography, because it is, I believe, in many aspects very Italian. It has a strong attack. The releves on point are very fast and very strong. There is a lot of footwork that we know from a Cicchetti style of dancing, of classical dancing. But it also, of course, combines with Russian lyricism and poetry and Čajkovskij-inspired music. It's a very, very interesting work for me, because it really combines the intense historical research, studying the notations and the documents of the time, the reviews, the production books, the descriptions, memoirs of the dancers who took part in the original production, the images, a lot of costume designs and stuff. So this huge amount of historical material we take into consideration. But it is not a reconstruction per se, because today is different time. The world is completely different. The bodies and the ideals of beauty are very different. We're not trying to imitate what it was like, respecting the original choreography and doing the steps with, of course, today's technique and today's style of performing, but trying to be respectful to the original intentions of creators of this great ballet. When I say creators, that would be Petipa and Ivanov, the choreographers. So the set design is not the original. It's a modern look, but it respects all the aspects of the original productions. The tutus, a very important question, the style and the shape of the tutus, because nowadays the classical tutu becomes very flat, like a pancake. And it reveals, of course, more of the leg of the ballerina. I think, to be fair to the original style, we need to have a little bit more modest shape. So the tutu hangs down like a bell. So this is the type of the tutu that you're going to see. As I said before, Odile is not so much a black swan, but she is a beautiful, a brilliant maiden who looks exactly like the white swan. She has some black on her, but it's also other dark colors. The important part of the original production is the storytelling. It's mime. And mime, by many, is considered an old-fashioned language. I don't agree with that. I think when it's done with real artistry, when the dancers put their hearts into the pantomime, it could be very, very exciting. And it really helps to develop the story, to develop the character, and to establish the exact moments in action. So it's very clear what is going on and who is telling what. So we resurrected some mime scenes that were omitted or cut out during the 20th century. I would say that the amplitude of dancing is reduced, but the speed, the attack, the quality of the little footwork is brought back. And it should counterbalance maybe the lack of big circus effects that are not in our production for the technique of dancing. We also work a lot on the beautiful bending of the shoulders, presenting the different épaulements, using the neck and involving the face expressions. So in that sense, we bring back some aspects of dancing that has been neglected. And we try to, what emerges from the notations when we follow them carefully is very much action ballet. There is a lot of moments, psychological moments that give the drama the suspense. And we try to present it as a love story, as a human love story, not so much a symbol of classicism. I hope it's going to be an adventure for the audience. They will clearly be able to understand what was the structure of the original, how mime and dancing was balanced, how the characters developed, because we followed that very closely. And they will be able to get the sense of the different classical technique of dancing, which is more speedy, more precise, more brilliant, a little bit less grand in scale. And there is no acrobatic splits or acrobatic mini turns in the air. But 32 footes that were first done by the great Italian ballerina Pierina Lignani. Another surprise for the audience would be to see two men partnering white swan in a swan scene, in the lake scene, we call it. Not only Prince Siegfried is present, but his closest friend, Benno. And this is part of the original design. This is something that was cancelled or taken out maybe 50 years ago. So it's nowhere to be seen on stage except for in our production. And I think it's very important. We also, I think, for the first time in my memory, resurrected the brilliant corps de ballet dance of Petipa in its waltz, peasant waltz of the first act. It uses a big maypole and it uses 20 couples of dancers. A lot of accessoires also, this is part of the style. Baskets of flowers, little tabourets or the stools on which the dancers stand, sit, and make formations. So another interesting aspect. A lot of little historical discoveries that we made made myself and my colleagues, Tatiana, of course, very inspired and in a way sad that so many beautiful things are forgotten. We also I feel very proud that we bring these things that were so important for Petipa, for Čajkovskij, for Ivanov. We bring it back to life. Čajkovskij's score is one of the greatest ballet scores ever, and it proved itself by being probably the most popular ballet music ever. Everyone knows Swan Lake. Čajkovskij was not very happy with it when he wrote it down, but it turns out a masterpiece. So we feel that Čajkovskij probably smiling up in the heavens, looking down and seeing that every day on Earth, some company performs Swan Lake. I'm sure of that. This production will go on tour in the fall. It travels to Paris, which is very exciting, and I'm glad that the French audience will be able to see the production that brings back the original structure of the ballet. And I'm sure there will be pros and contras, but I think we're trying very hard. We're trying to fill it with soul and heart, but nevertheless, I know already that it will bring new ideas to the understanding of the Swan Lake, because we resurrect the historical moments that are forgotten.